not a secret. Yet, within weeks of his assassination, the very group that he exposed in his document, CI officers, they were placed under guarding. So I'm left with all these questions that were we just bluntly sidestepped because of this document? And that is my first question that I raised. I need to know who gave the instruction for the guarding to be removed. I also know that the commissioner mentioned, I think in previous meetings, that there was no official authorization. Then my question is, why was there no official authorization? We know that there are many other officers, senior and others, are receiving guarding, etc. And thank you for that, because as I said previously, nothing, yes, I'm looking for answers, but nothing can change the tragedy that my kids and I have faced. But we need to make sure, and we need to be honest with each other and look at and hold each other accountable, as in terms of why what happened to my family need to happen. And we need to make sure that it doesn't happen again to any other family. I also want to in the same sentence make it clear, and I think, Madam Chair, we've had the opportunity to chat, that it's very easy for people to think that I'm this bitter widow just going and gunning for SAPS. The reality is that my husband loved the organization. He was part of this organization for 31 years. Our blood is blue. My kids and I will be as blue as ever. But I think it's grossly unfair that as a family, besides being robbed of him with the assassination, even years prior, we were robbed of a family life, because the fact that we didn't get assistance from the organization that he worked for. We had to adapt our lifestyle to make it work for us, in going to places with 2 vehicles, in having a dad stand at a fence, watch his child play soccer because he cannot make the connection. You don't want people to make the connection. So for me, no family, no fellow officer family need to be exposed to that. So I have the questions that why does it seem that it's not even a privilege, it's an essential keeping another person alive. But why does it seem this is reserved for certain people and certain members only? I also need to raise the question, and I know that maybe, Madam Chair, you can help me there, is that I've got 2 questions on my petition. Are we going to address each one individually, or do you want me to finish and then we're going to answer in general? Sorry.
Mrs. Kinnear, if you could, you have the opportunity to state your case, and because once you have said everything, then we will take questions from the committee members, and then perhaps will have an opportunity to respond.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
my apologies, please use your time effectively.
Sorry?
Please use your time effectively,
okay,
so that you raise all your concerns.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, we'll do so. So as I think where I left off was the question that I asked, is the right to protection for a member, is it reserved for certain people? We know that there are clear indications in the police security policy as to when a threat analysis needs to be done, what the process is, and yet nothing of this happened with us. So I need those answers. I also want to say that that for us, for me, where I'm sitting, and as a family, I think we are left draw the conclusion, and I'm hoping today that I can get the answer that the incident of the guarding be removed, and the fact that we never had any guarding, that it points to the document, and that this was the reason why we were overlooked. So I'd like to find out, so that in that case, that is my answers there, or my concerns there. In terms of moving on, the second question that I had was the build-up to the assassination, which happened on the 18th. My husband was away on investigations in early September, when it became known that his phone was pinged or tracked, as has been mentioned. It also became clear that reports were drafted, documented, and dropped at various offices, informing certain brass officials in terms of what was happening. Yet, I found that between the 3rd and the 18th, nothing was done to ensure that, again, safety precautions be put in place. My question here is it a matter of complacency? Was it a matter of that this guy or this lieutenant's name is on a list every second day, that somebody maybe thought, it's just another list? Or was there other reasons behind it? Was it blatantly just the warning signs ignored? We also know that since then, buck have been shifted from pillar to post. A lot of people being blamed. A lot of people, I know, it has become public knowledge that Andre Lincoln has been charged with an internally disciplinary investigation, as well as General Jacobs. My question is, what about the others? My husband, and I'm not too sure how we should refer to it, correct me if I'm wrong, in the Western Cape, I'm going to refer to it as an organogram, where we had the PC and etc. My husband literally reported to 2 commanders, one being General Lincoln, and the other one being General Very, who is the detective head, provincial detective head. As a detective in the Western Cape, General Very was my husband's boss as well, in terms of detective, because he was the provincial head. General Very has publicly acknowledged that he himself is on hit list, or on the same hit list as my husband. My question is then, General Very, we know, as also being guarded, based with all probability on his risk assessment, because of the fact that he's on hit list. So my question is, what did General Very do to ensure that his detective, because my husband was his detective, be kept safe? So yes, General Andre Lincoln was his commander and at AGU, and I get his responsibilities. My one question is, where is his detective head in this question, in this scenario? I'm also wanting to ask, yes, General Jacobs is our national, or I know he's been suspended now, but then national CI head. But what happened to our provincial CI? I cannot see that we jump hoops here, and we go to national, and we're not tackling the issues on provincial level. So that is my other question. Where does provincial CI fit into all of this? So again, I want to ask the question that if I look at the scenarios, guarding, you need to be from a certain rank. Lives only start to matter when we're generals and higher. Or, in my opinion, all blue lives should matter. So it doesn't matter who you are. If there's a threat on your life, it needs to be tended to. And I think we need to treat it with the necessary urgency that it deserves. As I said earlier on, I feel when I reached out, my plight was sort of just ignored. Early January 2019, or 2020, sorry, when I raised my concern. As I said, instead, we as a family got slapped with a transfer letter. How many others are there? So my appeal to the SAPS brass is that we need to listen. I do feel, and as a Christian, I believe if God says your date is the 18th of September, then it's the 18th of September. But I do feel that SAPS has failed us as a family. I feel they've failed my husband. I feel there was gross negligence in making sure that the right measures or correct measures are put in place to keep him safe. Because this was not in keeping him safe to go and visit socially. This was keeping him safe because he was doing his job. The ultimate reality is his life was under threat. Us as a family came under threat because he was doing his job as a police officer. So for me, that is our stance. We feel that we've been not neglected. We feel that we've been failed, mostly failed. I feel we've been robbed as a family. I feel the broader public has been robbed because of the lack or the loss of my husband's expertise, years of investment into various places. I mean, I think his record speaks for itself. So Madam Chair, that is my concerns, the two questions that I want answers to. As I explained, why guarding was removed, the incident between.
We've lost your sound, Mrs. Kinnear.
Okay, is that I'm back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay. I'll just rephrase or just repeat my loss, and I don't know where we lost each other. So, Madam Chair, that for me is my two questions that I raised in my petition. My concerns as to why guarding was removed, the build-up towards that in the document, and then also what happened between the 3rd of September 2020 and the actual assassination of the 18th of September 2020.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kinnear. Would your son like to voice some matters as well? Would your son have an opportunity?
No, I think he's fine. I think emotionally it won't work for them now. It's fine.
He does have the opportunity to speak. You can indicate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kinnear. Honourable members, I'll give you an opportunity now to make comments, and then I'll allow the Minister, the Deputy Minister, and SAPS to do a presentation if they so wish, or to respond. Honourable members, I'll take your hands. Could you kindly please indicate if you would like to speak? I have noticed Honourable Whitfield, and then Tablanche, and then Groenewald, and then Meshu. Honourable Whitfield, you may start.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and to Mrs. Kinnear and your boys, please accept my heartfelt condolences. No family should have to endure such trauma, especially when one's family member is in service of their country. Chairperson, my comment is really very brief, and that is to say that the petition request from Mrs. Kinnear is very straightforward and should not be complicated to answer. And I think that this committee and the public at large and those living in the Western Cape who live in fear within the South African Police Service deserve an honest and frank report from the National Police Commissioner and the Minister to answer the question or the questions that Mrs. Kinnear has put into her petition. Why was protection removed from this family, given everything that we know and the consequences of the events that have unfolded, I just want to implore this committee, through you, Chair, to keep this item front and center on our agenda, because we need to root out any possibility of any rotten elements within the South African Police Service or any negligence that may place any other police officers who are doing remarkable work at risk, as was the case in this incident. And I know, Chairperson, that you will support this call as you have in the past with other petitions, but I think this petition is particularly unique because it speaks to the core of a critical issue that members of the public and members of our police service are concerned about. So, Chair, with that, I will leave it there at this point.